All
Maybe.
righty. You don't have your background, but yeah.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
Oh,
The background. Yes, the background. Let's see. Next. There's more background. That didn't work. Well, let's just not have a background today.
okay. Let's just go with it. Today is it kind of falls suit with the beginning of this month. So hey, what the heck?
There
Anything
you
can
go.
go this month.
There you go. There you go. So, believe it or not, I am really jazzed about this particular show. I say that all the time. But
Okay.
this last few series that we've been doing have been especially good for or pointed towards advisors that really want to get value out of their plan and employees that want to make sure that they are getting the most out of their plan. We have it's just a very interesting focus on that. So, um, let's get it going. So I am Jevon Thomas of Jevon Thomas Retirement Plan Consultants. My friend and colleague Crystal Mitchell is with me here, and our show is about folks who are HR consultants, plan sponsors, and participants, owners and leaders of organizations that are concerned about the participants coming in and reaching their retirement goals, and not least of which we want to make sure that folks who happen to be participants also take heed of what it is that we're saying, because this is really ultimate about their retirement. And I want to say, and I'll probably say it again during the broadcast today, saving for retirement is a responsibility of the individual. It is not the responsibility of the owner or leader of the organization. And a retirement plan is an incredible benefit. And we have to think about it that way. It is a benefit.
Hmm.
So, with all of that, let's go ahead and get started. I am going to read Crystal's bio and then we'll go from that. By the way, hi, Crystal. How are you?
I'm well. How are you? How are you on this wonderful May 2nd, March 2nd day?
I am doing so well. You know, we do have the blessing of living here in Southern California, where the weather has been dramatically better than our colleagues out on the in the Midwest and the East Coast. And so I truly feel blessed. I think if you have that bent of being a Christian, then this is a good time to thank somebody, because we are truly blessed in so many ways living here in SoCal.
And that's very, very true. Very,
But
very true.
let's talk about Crystal Mitchell. Crystal is a business coach and consultant. She's the CEO of Mitchell Business Solutions, co director of Recycling Black Dollars. She is also the co host of another weekly online radio show called The Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, and an instructor at Mount San Antonio Community College, a certified network for teaching entrepreneurship instructor, and a QuickBooks Pro Advisor financial strategist. And if you get the chance, I would definitely encourage you to check out the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert. They've got some great information and guests over there, so please do check that out. So, Crystal, how you doing?
I'm well. Hanging in there.
Hanging in there.
Hanging
Okay.
in there. Trying to keep my anger down at bay.
Oh, yes. Yes, I can definitely understand that. We have things to talk about. So today we want to talk about something that's really important, and that just comes right from our topic today, which is that sometimes the match actually fails employees, which is kind of tough because people spend a lot of time trying to figure out that match, and it is. It's important. We're gonna find out though how the default really works. And so, last time we talked about having the match. We're going to talk a little bit about structuring the match and what that does. Okay, so
Okay.
right off the top, auto auto enrollment is awesome. If we want to use participation as a metric, and we can,
Hmm.
then automatically enrolling people helps with testing, and it certainly helps the people that are in the plan. Have you ever been automatically enrolled in a plan?
No,
No? So it's
not
pretty
not
cool.
not through a company, but
Yeah.
in the block the app that I use for my own portfolio, it has an automatic. They do. It's called Smart something. It calls something Smart something. All it does much better than my decisions. But yeah, it is so well balanced.
Oh, okay. Well, automatic enrollment is a little bit different. Automatic
Right.
enrollment comes when you join a company and then you have a certain amount of time to enroll in the plan. And then
Oh,
the company may automatically enroll you in the plan.
okay.
Typically, when they do that, they set your contributions at a particular level. And often there is a match associated with that. Often, not always, but often. So
Hmm.
theoretically, your company could say, hey, if you're if our just for grins, if our enrollment period starts a year after you get here, you know, you're eligible for the plan a year after you're here for a year, then they could say you're automatically enrolled in the plan at that time, you know, or they could say, you know, you have a quarter to enroll and then you're automatically enrolled. Now there are lots of folks out there that are kind of afraid of that. Lots of plan sponsors. I remember when this first started going, they were saying, we don't really want to take money out of people's paychecks. And of course, a lot of people that have that money come out of their paychecks saying, why are you taking my money? But the reality of the situation is um, you do have a period of time that you can get out of the auto enrollment. So you don't, and you get all your money back and no penalty, no taxes. So
Hmm.
there is that. And studies have shown for a long time now that participants actually want their owner to take that on. That is, they want not their owner, they want the business owner. It goes strange there. They want the business owner or the organization leader to determine when they're going to get in the plan and to actually take that money out of their paycheck so that they don't have to do it. It becomes automatic. Um, the problem with that is employers have to set defaults. They have to set defaults with regard to the amount that you're going to contribute, defaults with where that contribution is going to go. And that's the trouble of time. And so for our folks, because I'm running these clips, I'm just going to say clip moment. Most employees treat default as the recommendation.
Well, they are the employee. You know, when the employee is hired, it is well aware of the benefits, right, and what that is. So they do know within certain time frame that's what's going to happen, right?
Well, I would say that's what we would hope.
Okay.
I know that depending on the time that we're talking about, I remember when I first came out of school, things could be different. I remember when I first got out of school, I was just happy to get a job. I wasn't even worried about the benefits. Just pay me, please. I need to pay the rent, right? And then, of course, I really wasn't concerned about healthcare or retirement because I was in my 20s. So I was going to live for a long time. So retirement was over there. And I was healthy as a horse because I'd worked my way through high school and worked my way through college. And so I was healthy. I really wasn't worried about getting sick. I never got sick. So for me, benefits were really just not that important.
Okay.
Stupid me, not smart at all. Very much the wrong thing to do. So for all those parents out there, I would say to you, please, please, if your children are getting their first job, have that talk. Not that one talk, but have that talk about this is what you do with your first job and hold them to it.
Yeah.
Hold them to it, right? You got to
Yeah.
look at the benefits. Now, we do find that when people reach their late 20s, early 30s, benefits, benefits become dramatically more important. because it's at those times often, I don't want to say always, but often, folks are starting to have families, or some of their family members are starting to get older, and they're starting
Mhm.
to pay attention to the benefits that they have. And they tend to be longer lasting employees anyway.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so that's when we really get into that phrase of total compensation. Do you remember you were in HR? So do you remember people talking about total compensation? So you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and that so because I was in HR, it was very. I went through all of the benefits when most employees when all employees were hired, line by line, and a lot of companies you had to kind of sign off on them. And some of them they had to sign up for, so like health insurance and life insurance and things like that. So we were a little bit more on the forward on the front side, depending on the HR person though. I was
Hmm.
HR and payroll,
Hmm.
uh, so it was vitally important for me, obviously, because I had to make sure if there was any going to be any um, the sharing, if the employee was going to be sharing any of the cost of their benefits, then I had to be able to get that in the system for whenever that started for their payroll. So I
Makes
think in
sense.
the companies that I worked in, if it was there, then we were a little bit more, I guess, intentional because of, or I was because of the payroll piece of it.
That's great. That's great. You had to know, and so you made sure you knew what was up, and you were able to explain that to the participants. That's
Hmm.
great. That's awesome.
Right.
That's great.
In the onboarding process.
Right, right. So the issue that we run into, though, is that typically when someone chooses a default, that is, the employer chooses a default rate, usually it's at 3 or 5%.
Hmm.
Um, and the problem is that most participants don't increase after that. So they stay at 3 and 5 or
Yeah.
5% or so. That's a problem
Yeah.
because that's just not really going to get it done. Most financial planners or financial advisors suggest that people who are working should contribute between 10 and 15% of their pay. So if they're only contributing 3 or 5%, or even let's say there's a match, let's say that it's what we call a safe harbor match, where a person is matched 100% of the first 3% they put in, and then 50% of the next two. So essentially, the person puts in five, the employer puts in four, you're at nine, because that all that money counts. You're at nine,
Hmm.
but still falling short of what most financial advisors suggest you have, which is between 10 and 15%, depending on your age, right? And depending on when you get into the plan. So, of course, the younger you're in, the less risk you have to take and the more time you have to build, which is a good thing, which is why I say to parents again, have that talk with your kids. It says, hey, take full advantage and let's chart where we are, because I guarantee you that if you start in your 20s at 3 to 5 and you're intentional about that, and you can get up to 12 or 13, including the match, if you do that consistently, when you reach my age, you won't have retirement issues. You won't have those problems. You'll have what we call options, and that's a very good thing. But if you don't, then we have to have a different conversation. So,
Right.
clip number two, I might as well put that in because I have a clip for Instagram and TikTok. Clip number two: saving something is not as same as saving enough. So,
Right.
getting that default, even getting that match, doesn't mean you are absolved of the responsibility. What it means is your employer's helping you out. And I would say if you're a participant and your employer does decide to do a match, that's not free money. Lots of people say that's free money. It is not free money. That money costs the employer whatever it is. And that employer thinks you're worthwhile an employee to invest in you an additional amount. So if you don't take advantage of that match, at least if you don't take advantage of that, you're in effect telling your employer, I don't need that. You just go ahead and help. You just go ahead and take that. So, number one, get the match. Number two, make sure that the amount that you put in
Hmm.
plus the amount that you put in. I like the way I said that. The amount you put in plus the match plus the amount that you contribute. All of that equals enough to help you reach your retirement goal. That's the rule. Okay, that was clip number two. Okay, so what's the real deal? The real deal is that employees, unfortunately, think they're on track, right?
Mm.
We've given up taking responsibility for so many things in our country that we assume that if the employer is going to quote unquote take money out of our paycheck, and then if they're going to match the money that they took out, that that's enough. It ain't. I wish I could color code it, but it is not enough. It is not. And there's an expression out there that suggests, and we can, this is another clip moment. Clip moment. Small percentages today can bring big gaps tomorrow. Let me say it
Yeah.
again. Small percents today bring big gaps tomorrow.
And I think also if you just are in tune and focused with what's going on, um, when you have a regular paycheck coming in every single week or every bi-monthly or whatever, however you get paid, and if your paycheck is not covering your monthly expenses, then and you have the ability to work or go get a second job or whatever it is you want to do, and you have the health and the mental health and the physical health, then you can kind of augment that, right? I mean, heck, a lot of folks drive Uber and Lyft for that very very reason. But when you get to be when it's retirement time and you're on a fixed income and you didn't work your whole entire life, not too many people are all that anxious to go back out there and jump back into the grind once they realize, like, whoa, this is not working because now I have far more, my health bill, my bills, my monthly expenses exceed what I'm going to get for my retirement or from my Social Security or whatever that is. And also, if you think about today, Social Security seems to be something that's always on the chopping block, whether it's a reality or not. But it's on the chopping block, so you panic because, oh my God, I can't live on my 401k country, my pension. I can't live on without the Social Security. What am I going to do, right? So I think even though, so this is a good time. Well, I don't care what age you are, to really look at what it means not to have enough to feed yourself, to buy your medication, and to at least have a decent life at retirement.
Yeah, I could not agree more. And for a young person, if you haven't grown up with that, and I think we tend to do that in our society. We tend to take our old people and move them into places where they can be taken care of rather than keeping them in the home. We
Mm-hmm.
tend not to operate as a family. And I'm not
Mm-hmm.
going to say I'm not going to say that's good or bad. It's just a cultural thing here in the US.
Mm-hmm.
But what it does lead to is number one, independence. Nobody's getting in your business. But number two, it leads to you need to be able to stand up and do things for yourself. And I think that when we talk about things like generational poverty and we talk about familial growth, we have to talk about what it is, how it is you think about saving for your retirement. We have to
Mm-hmm.
put that into the discussion. And it's time that Americans did that. It really, really is. We can moan and groan about, oh, we as the poor people or the middle class people, we don't have as much money as the wealthy people do. Yep, that's true. We don't. But we do have the responsibility to take care of ourselves. And one of the reasons why I love being in this business is that it gives regular people the opportunity to save for retirement.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, most of us really have a tough time saying, I'm not going to buy that. I'm going to put that money in my retirement plan and get the benefit later. Most of us just can't do that. I have a very tough time doing that. If I see the shoes, I'm buying the shoes. If I see the cheesecake, I'm eating the cheesecake. So when it comes to delayed gratification, I am horrible. But if that money comes out of my paycheck, I'm good. And if I can say, you know what, let me put a little bit more in, let me put a little bit more in. If I can do that every year And if I can do that when the raise comes, then life is going to be dramatically better for me than
Mm-hmm.
it is now. And not to belabor the point, but things are getting more and more expensive. So the idea of saving less and less, that's just not it's not appropriate. Okay,
Mm-mm.
but off of my soapbox, what can an employer or an HR person, what can they do to actually help that employee out? Couple of things. Number one, auto escalation. Let's structure the match. Let's structure the match so that we got to put some money in order to get it, right? So instead of the
Right.
new 3 to 5, maybe we stretch that out a little bit, and you can talk with your financial advisor as to how to do that. Maybe you get a better match if you put more money in at the back end.
Right.
Another opportunity or another thing is re-enrollment. And it's one thing to enroll people at the plan when they start, but it's another thing to send out that notice every year that says, hey, time for you to re-up for the plan or not re-up. And that
Yeah.
happens. Most of the plans that I have, that's what they do. Another thing that employers can do, and this is one of my big things, one of the things I really like to do, is educate participants. Have that advisor available so that that employee can connect with them. They can sit down with them if they want. They can meet them on a Zoom call, whatever it is. But work with a retirement plan advisor that thinks it's very important to connect with employees. So, with that, of course, we got another clip time. Clip time
Nope.
coming, and that is if you are an employer or you are an HR person, you do have the opportunity to influence the leaders of that organization. Just understand that defaults don't just guide behavior, they define behavior.
Okay.
So when you are thinking about putting that default in, which is a great thing, I don't want to say that's not a great thing. If you're really interested in your employees and you're putting that default in, understand the mindset of the employee. The mindset of the entrepreneur might be, okay, that's a little bit, let me go and do and da 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 da. The mindset of the employee might be, whew, you're taking this money, you're not already paying me enough, da 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 da. It's a different mindset.
Right.
So um, that's one of the reasons why I like working with retirement plan companies that actually have um, those not calendars, but those calculators that tell you, okay, if I have this much and I put this much in, how much am I going to make? And often, if you have a chance to work with your retirement plan advisor and they do a review for you, often that record keeper will have a statistic of how many people are 75% of their goal or how many people are on track to reach 8% of their pre-retirement income. Those calculators are out there. So take advantage of that. And then just kind of understand that, if you have a default out there, some people are just going to stay there. So you want to make sure you don't not communicate that that's just to get you started. It's just to help you out.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I think the more, I think you just have to, the employer just has to be very, very clear. And I get that it's, more for the employer's benefit, but still, I've always been the least amount of questions that I get because I'm more thorough on the front end is much better for my life.
It is. It is. It is. And I think if I am an employer or a business leader, um, then another clip moment, we really want to take a look at what behavior is driven by the defaults. Number one, defaults are a wonderful thing. They really are. It's the employer standing up and the employer or the business leader standing up and saying, I care about my employees. I want them to reach their retirement goal. I want to help them get there for several reasons. Number one, I get to matriculate people through the organization, so I
Hmm.
get that young blood in, and I have the advantage of those older, mature employees helping those younger folks out. We've got that going on. Or
Hmm.
number two, we get to have those younger employees who are generally less expensive come in, and by the time they start getting really expensive, we can get rid of them. So there are lots of business oriented needs to have a solid retirement plan with a solid match. However, if we really do care about our employees, and I know that so many business owners do, if you can't afford to do a huge match, then talk to that retirement plan advisor about structuring it so that your employees get the best bang for their buck.
Right.
Structure it so that it works well for you as the organization leader, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not seen as something that is just coming out of my paycheck, and that's less money than I have to uh, to feed my kids or what have you.
Right, exactly. And I think people are just much, they're if you're clear with them and understanding, and I get it, young people, you know, are feel they're infallible. And that time is such a long time off, but it really isn't a long time off. It really is right around the corner.
It is. When you're in it, you're in it. Yeah. You know,
Yeah, it is more so than you think.
yes. So, yeah, we
Yeah.
get it.
And I would even say the children of even individuals that are at the age of retirement, they too need to know what their parents and make sure that their parents on point. Because I'm gonna tell you, when you find yourself being the particular child or sibling that is going to care for the parents,
Hmm.
it's gonna come out your pocket. So if you need to know what type of insurance they have, you need to know all of those lovely things because it's gonna come back and bite you in the bottom.
You know, it's very interesting that you say that, and I'll end now. But I have some relatives who are actually taking care of their parents or stepping up to help take care of their parents, and you know, they have to deal now with the situation where, for whatever reason, the Social Security and the pension is not enough, and then they have their own kids that they need to pay for. So they're in what we call the sandwich generation, where they're squeezed between
Mm-hmm.
their kids and their elderly relatives. And I think as parents and as people that are bringing these folks into the world, it's incumbent upon us to say to those folks, "Look, you need to save," but it's also incumbent of us to say, "Look, I don't want to be a burden to my kids." I know there are some parents who want to be burdened to their children.
This is true. This
They
is very
really
true.
do. But you'll be surprised at how painful that can be. Just for your sanity, and more importantly, well, for the sanity of your kids, but more importantly, for your sanity, let's put it that way. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Save for your retirement. Maybe you'll have to forego that Starbucks. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, I hear it more and more and more, and most of the time it comes down to having to hire someone to care for your aging parents, um, and it's a couple $1,000 a week check to pay for
Yeah,
someone to come in your house. Yeah, that eats in and all, and especially when you are on a budget as well. So yeah,
yeah,
behooves everybody to have conversation about it.
yeah. Well, I think we're going to end our show right there, but I'm going to make sure that I read your bio. And if you have a comment that you'd like to make, then cool. How's that?
Okay, sounds good.
So, everyone, I want to thank you for listening to On the Patio with my colleague Crystal. I'm Jevon Thomas. I'm a retirement plan advisor, and our topic today has been why defaults actually fail participants. So, without further ado, my friend and colleague Crystal Mitchell is a business coach and consultant. She's the CEO of Mitchell Business Solutions, co director of Recycling Black Dollars, co host of The Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert. That's another weekly online radio show. She's an instructor at Mount San Antonio Community College, a certified network for teaching entrepreneurship, instructor, and a QuickBooks Pro Advisor financial strategist, which is actually my favorite because I've said it before. I always used to mess that up. So, Crystal, Take us out with your last word.
So that's where basically it's just what I was saying before. I think we just need to be more. It's just a lot of stuff going on in our world, and the costs. We have no control over how certain costs in our budgets. How to we don't have a choice, nor do we have control over how certain items on your budget list increase without your consent. And so it's already fluctuating all by itself, right? So you want to make sure that you completely understand your numbers and what it takes to run your household and what it would take to take care of your household when you retire. So I think the more we just got to be much more focused on things these days
Well
so that we
said.
really
I love the point you made. Understand your numbers. Number one,
Mhm.
get your numbers. Number two, understand your numbers. I love that. That's a great.
Yeah, your numbers are important.
All right. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next week on the patio with Crystal and Jevon.
All right, everyone. Bye bye. Have a great one.
Okay, that ends the stream. I think that is it. Great show.
Okay.
What do you think of our new format? I've been using it for a few weeks now.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's for focus, very focused. I do that for the business zone, and we have a format for the community briefing as well. But yeah, some other things I'm adding to. I think it's important, especially since we're informing people how how much more connected they've been. So certain shows I even highlight some books or literature that they can actually buy and read that that could be beneficial.
good deal. Good deal. Actually, put that in. I don't know how this is going. I'm going to end the stream. So if I lose you, it was great chatting with you, and I'll talk with you soon. If I don't
Okay.
lose you, then I need to tell you a couple things. Okay, so here
Okay.
we go.